An institution as old as Oregon State is bound to have some buildings rumored to be haunted. Second, Community and Waldo Hall are the three most commonly cited in recounts. Of these three, Waldo has been the one most widely reported to host a paranormal resident. Lucky for us, Ida Kidder is a benevolent spirit. Born June 30th, 1857 in Auburn, New York, as Ida Angeline Clark. Shortly after graduating from Waverly High School at the age of 20, she became a primary teacher there. 9 years later, she enrolled in the New York State College for Teachers and became a teacher of natural sciences and later the principal of the high school in Medina, New York. At age 39, coinciding with her marriage to Lorenzo Kidder, her teaching career drew to a close. Not much is known about her married life, and it is believed she never had children. But after her husband's death, she enrolled in the University of Illinois Library School and earned her degree in 1906. From Illinois, she moved west and began working at the Washington State Library in Olympia for a short period before moving to Salem, where she worked for the Oregon State Library Commission, organizing libraries all over the state for nearly 2 years until they could not pay her for her field work anymore. By that time, Kidder is reported to have said, "I am so fond of this far west that I do not want to leave it." In 1908, Ida Kidder was hired as Oregon Agricultural College's first professionally trained librarian by the college's newly appointed president, William Jasper Kerr, as part of his desire to bring national recognition to Oregon's land-grant college. When Mrs. Kidder first started working at OAC, the college library was fully contained within Community Hall, composed of a small, one-room collection of 4,000 unkept and disorganized books. After organizing the collection, she began to offer library proactive lectures to students and traveled around the state to talk with farm groups about life, literature, and, of course, the library. It was through these talks that an affection for Kidder by the students and college community began. Kidder was as enthusiastic about improving the library as she was promoting it, sending many letters to the equally inspired President Kerr for more help, books, money, and space. In 1911, she was successful in recruiting an assistant librarian, a classmate from her library school days, Lucy Lewis. Her efforts finally paid off, and her lobbying with the student community for a new library building was finally approved by the OAC Board of Regents and the 1917 Oregon Legislative Assembly. The new building opened in 1918 and was known simply as the library until later, when it was officially named Kerr Library, after the college president who helped make its existence possible. The space filled quickly with books, offices, and classrooms. Over the course of her career, the collection will grow to 35,000 and a staff of 9. Like many other college librarians of the time, Kidder lived and worked on campus, residing in Waldo Hall, a women's dormitory finished in 1907, where she remained until her death. This closeness allowed her to connect with students on a personal level during her readings or time spent helping their studies. The amount of support Kidder showed for the students led to an affinity by the students for her, which grew so quickly that by 1912, a mere 4 years after her arrival, Mrs. Kidder was being referred to in no other way than Mother Kidder, a designation which she enjoyed. Unlike her personality, age was unkind to Kidder. She suffered from arthritis and cardiac ailment, making it difficult to walk. Ever faithful, the engineering students designed and created a small electric cart for her to drive around campus. The cart's appearance in 1917 drew attention from the students, and shortly after its debut, the Barometer held a contest to name it. While the Kidder car was an early favorite, Kidder handpicked the winning entry, dubbing the cart the Wickermobile. With the Wickermobile, Kidder completely refused to slow down. All seemed well until November of 1919. The librarian suffered a heart attack, resulting in an even greater loss of mobility. The morning of Sunday, February 29, 1920, 12 years after her arrival, OAC's beloved Mother Kidder suffered a brain hemorrhage, and passed away in her Waldo residence after having been in a state of semi-consciousness for 3 weeks prior. She was 65 years old. Kidder's death was reported in the student newspaper the day of her funeral on March 2nd. Unfortunately, her passing also coincided with the 1920 influenza epidemic, and public gatherings were prevented from occurring. At the request of the students, Ida Kidder's body lay in the lobby of her library for 2 hours that morning, during which time a short service was held on the steps, a truly unique event in college and university library history. Classes were canceled for 2 hours, and an ROTC honor guard stood watch over her casket. In 1919, Homer Maris dedicated Carry Me Back to Mother Kidder. The song would eventually be adopted as OSU's alma mater, and still is today. Kerr Library was expanded in 1941 with the addition of the West Wing. The space still wasn't enough, and in 1962, the college began construction on a new building. When the new building opened in 1963, it kept the Kerr name. The old library was renovated, including filling the reading rooms with an additional floor for classrooms, labs, and faculty offices, and was renamed Kidder Hall, in memory of the librarian who was instrumental in its creation, growth, and whose body lie within. It is truly fitting for the building which now bears her name to sit across from the current one, as a tribute to her efforts toward the success of not only the library department itself, but the school as a whole. It could be said that Mother Kidder is still watching over Oregon State students from her Waldo residence. Many have reported hearing high-heel footsteps on the 4th floor when it was closed off to all but construction workers for renovation. Whether or not you believe in ghosts, regardless of if her spirit truly remains in Waldo Hall, Ida Kidder has done so much for Oregon State to be remembered.